Hi all, welcome to another Seasons and Home video. In this video I'm going to show you how to make clear chicken soup with semolina dumplings. Chicken soup is fairly easy. It's a dump and go. So the first thing that I do is I put my chicken, in this case using chicken legs, into the pot on a little bit of oil and let it fry. Then the next thing that I do is I cleaned the celeriac because I wanted to use this for my soup. I also wanted to do the celeriac soup, but as you can see this one is a little bit old, so it's a bit spongy in the inside. And in these cases I just remove the spongy part and then clean it, and it just goes into the pot. It's not really tasty to make a salad or a creamy soup from it, but for these types of soup that are clear soups, it's perfect. It will give it just the right amount of taste. Next veg that goes into my soup is a pepper. I had green one, so I put green one, but any type of pepper will do. Then my secret ingredient is the sun-dried tomatoes. I discovered that it really gives a very nice flavor to the soup. And the last thing, of course, carrots. I haven't put any onions because I forgot to buy them, but it didn't stop me to make a soup. The only thing that I did is I put in the dried green tops of onions that I had made during the year. I put garlic, and otherwise if I had the onion I would first burn the onion in the skillet, then I would put the chicken in to brown it, and then all of the rest just gets dumped in. When everything is in and I have put in the amount of water that I wanted, I will put the lid on and I would lock it and then just leave it to come to the boil so that the pressure builds up, and turn it off until it's cooled down enough so that I can open the pot. During this time I'm just going to clean some carrots that I will put into the soup as a veg component of the soup. These carrots I'm going to cut on a bias just because it looks nicer, and I will do them in small thin slices so that they can cook until the soup in the pot boils. So these carrots are actually going to be in the end soup result, so to say. And now that the pressure was off, I could release the lid, and as you can see everything was looking nice. So the next thing to do was just to measure out a little bit of soup and to sieve it through so that there are no big chunks of veggies and chicken. In this version I'm going to put Vegeta. It's a seasoning, Croatian seasoning. It's something that we Croatians use all the time. Basically it's a Croatian MSG. Right, and now I'm going to start to work on my dumplings. I did a mistake here because you should first make the mixture for the dumplings, then leave this mixture to sit for at least 5 minutes so that it firms up and that the semolina, or in my case, since I have to do everything gluten-free, I'm using white polenta. And especially in case of white polenta, you actually have to let it sit so that it hydrates and that everything combines together, and then when you add it to the soup it's not going to just fall apart. In my case I had large eggs, and for one large egg I needed 2.5 tablespoons of white polenta. I need to mix it until it's quite firm but not too firm, because if you do the paste so that it's too firm, it will cause the dumplings to be very, very firm even when they are cooked. And if you do the mixture so that it's too soft, then they are going to fall apart. But honestly, it's much better to err on the side of the soft mixture and a bit of messy dumplings than to insist on the very hard mixture, because then they just won't be nice. Now that my mixture is done, my soup was already boiling, so all I did was I took 1 little spoon and I started adding the mixture in spoonfuls how I wanted it into the boiling liquid. It's best if you just put the liquid on the medium, maybe even a bit lower, so that there's not a lot of boiling, because boilings will also make them fall apart a bit. And when they were all floating and nice and soft, I started putting them up into the plates. As you can tell, some of them have fallen apart because my mixture in this case was a bit too runny. I didn't have the time to let it sit. And now for the fancy schmancy version. So the same procedure. First I did the mixture, then I put the water to boil, and in this case, instead of using vegeta, I decided to use a little bit of chili, a little bit of pepper, and the secret ingredient that will make the soup a bit more yellow, the turmeric powder. Turmeric is something that I use quite a lot, especially when it comes to the chicken dishes. I like to add a little bit of turmeric. I just love the way that it tastes with chicken. And of course, in the cases when I don't have vegeta in my kitchen, then I do something like quick vegeta with a little bit of onion, little bit of salt, pepper, cayenne pepper, and turmeric. And as you can see, I have also added into this soup a little bit of spring onion, the peas and the carrots as a crunchy element of the soup. And now, because I want my soup to stay clear, because this is a fancy version, I'm going to make my dumplings in another pot. Usually people, when they make dumplings in a different pot, they use plain water. I don't like that. So what I do, I use the mixture of 50% soup, 50% water, because that way my dumplings get the taste of the soup in them, so they don't taste watery. But also because this soup is already done, it's been seasoned, the soup will reduce a bit more during the boiling, so if I add a bit more water, it's not going to be so heavy. Then when my soup has boiled, I put it down on medium and I start making the dumplings. Now these are called cannelles, and this is just a fancy schmancy term to tell you use 2 spoons when making your dumplings. So what I do is just put the dumpling from 1 spoon to the other a couple of times, and then I push it into the soup. It's much easier to do it when you don't have to show it to anyone. Just like in the first time when I was doing it for like an everyday soup, I just leave them to float up and to completely cook until I take them off the heat. Since this is a fancy schmancy version, we are going to take care that we first take out the dumplings from the pot where we were cooking them. Especially because in this pot we have the mixture of soup and water. You don't have to discard this. You can just put it some place or even freeze it, and then you add a little bit more of the stock into it and it will be perfectly fine. So this is just a way to make your dumplings look better. And now that I have put my dumplings into the plates, I'm going to add the soup. I have taken out the fronts from the onions, so that the only elements that I have except the dumplings in the soup are my carrots and my peas. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you give this a try. I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.